All right, let's get into it. If you've ever been that person stumbling around in the dark looking for flashlights during an outage, kind of worrying if everything in the fridge is about to spoil, then this one's for you. We're going to walk through my whole journey of picking out a whole house generator. And yeah, that includes some of the huge mistakes I almost made that could have cost me thousands.
It always starts with one of these moments, doesn't it? For me, this was it. Picture this, a freezing cold winter day, and the power goes out for nearly 11 hours. Everything just stops. No heat, no internet, the fridge is just a silent box. And right then and there, that's when I said, okay, that's it. Time for a real solution. The research started that very night.
And of course, right out of the gate, I hit the first major problem. It's this trap that so many people fall into. It's an assumption that seems totally logical on the surface, but wow, is it completely wrong and incredibly expensive.
So this is the number that kicks off the whole thing, right? You walk over to your main breaker box, you flip open the little metal door, and you see that big number stamped on the main switch, 200, and your brain just instantly makes a connection. That's the rating for the whole house.
And naturally, this is the very next thought. It seems so simple, right? It's almost obvious. If my house has a 200 amp service, then I must need a generator that can push out 200 amps. But this is the exact spot where you either go down the right path or the very wrong one.
And here's the flawed math that nearly sank the whole project before it even started. You do a quick little calculation, and boom, you land on this number, a 48 kilowatt generator. I mean, we're talking about a monster of a machine. When you start looking up the prices for something that big, you might just quietly close your laptop and decide, you know what, I'll just buy some more candles. This is absolutely not the way.
So, here's the aha moment. This is the key. That 200 amp rating on your panel. It's the absolute maximum capacity your system can possibly handle. Think of it like the top speed on your car's speedometer. You almost never drive that fast, right? Your actual day-to-day electricity usage is almost always way lower. Getting this one little detail saves you a fortune.
Okay, so let's flip this around and look at the right way to do it. Instead of just guessing based on your service size, you have to do something called a smart load audit. And I'm telling you, this is the single most important money-saving step in this entire process.
So, just forget about that 200 amp number for a minute and ask yourself these questions. What is absolutely critical? Like what has to run? For me, that's the fridge, maybe the furnace fan to keep the house from freezing, the sump pump for sure. What can wait? And maybe the most important question, what has a huge power spike right when it kicks on, like a big central air conditioner? The answers to these questions are what determine what you really need.
Now check this out. This worksheet really puts it all into perspective. Just look at the difference between the running watts and the starting watts for something like that sump pump or the AC unit. That initial surge of power is a massive factor, and you start to realize pretty quick, you don't need to power everything all at once. You just have to be smart about managing those big, power-hungry loads. And this right here, this just shows you the incredible results of doing that smart audit. A 200 amp service home, the same one we thought needed a 48 kilowatt beast, can actually run almost everything perfectly fine on a 20 to 30 kilowatt unit, as long as you have some smart load management. I mean, that is a night and day difference in cost, in fuel consumption, in everything.
All right, so once you've figured out the right size generator, you still have to get it hooked up to your house. And this is where the little details become absolutely critical, not just for performance, but for safety. Getting this part wrong isn't just expensive, it can be really dangerous.
Okay, seriously, I cannot stress this enough. While you can do all the research and planning in the world, the final hookup involves life safety systems. It's high voltage, this is not the place to wing it. Having a licensed pro review your plan and make those final connections, that's a non-negotiable, must-do step. One of the most confusing parts of this can be just picking the right wire. And there's no single easy answer. The right size depends on a bunch of stuff. Is the wire made of copper or aluminum? How long is the run from the generator to the panel? A longer run might mean you need a thicker wire just to overcome what's called voltage drop. And of course, you have to follow all your local electrical codes. All right, next big decision, how does the power actually get from the generator into your house? You basically got two main options. An interlock kit is the cheaper, but it's a totally manual process. For this project, the whole point was to have a seamless automatic system, so an automatic transfer switch, or ATS, was the clear winner. It's awesome. It senses when the power goes out and just switches everything over all by itself. And here's a little pro tip I learned that wasn't obvious at first. Where you physically put the generator outside, it isn't just about how it looks or the noise. It has a direct impact on how long your electrical and fuel lines have to be. In my case, just moving the planned location by a few feet simplified the wiring run enough that it actually saved me real money on the installation. It's a huge deal.
So, this whole process, it really leads to a fundamental shift in how you think about all this. You start out with one idea of what whole house backup power means, but then reality and some good planning, they lead you to a much smarter, more practical place.
So here it is, the new definition. A whole house generator isn't about running your electric oven, charging your EV, and blasting 2 air conditioners all at the same time during an outage. It's about having the capability to power any circuit in your house. Just, not all at once. It's all about smart prioritization.
So, the goal completely changed. It went from power everything to these 4 things. A system that is, above all else, safe. One that you can rely on to start up every single time. One that behaves predictably, and one that doesn't just guzzle an insane amount of fuel. Honestly, chasing these goals gets you a much better system than just chasing the biggest kilowatt number you can find.
So if I had to boil it all down, if I were starting over today, this would be the game plan. 1. Do that load audit before you even start looking at generators. 2. Decide early on your philosophy. Are you going for true power everything at once whole house or managed whole house? 3. Plan where you're going to put it, thinking about wiring, fuel, and noise all at the same time. 4. Make sure you budget for a professional to do the final hookup. And 5. When it's all done, test it with your family's real-world habits, not in some perfect, ideal scenario.
And really, that brings us to the final, most important question you should be asking yourself. Are you sizing a generator for a number stamped on a metal box in your basement? Or are you sizing it for how your family actually lives during an outage? Because the difference between those 2 approaches, well, that's everything.